Well, welcome in to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. My name is Landon, and without Austin today, once again, we'll have him back on the Sunday edition of our show, which will be the last one of the Christmas season. Man, I hope everybody's enjoying their time, and I hope work is winding down. Some of you have closed your laptops, you finished for the rest of the year, but for everybody else, man, it is soon and around the corner. So I hope you enjoy the time. Got a lot of good stuff to get into today. Some good news for Mississippi State in the transfer portal. Some visitors on campus yesterday and today. We're going to talk about that, and then we'll finish the show going over our college football playoff predictions. I want to get your thoughts on that as well. Um, Before we get into all of that, and there is some good news for Mississippi State. But there's also a player that they were going for that ended up going in a different direction inside of the state. You can guess very hard where that is. We'll get into all of that, and honestly, an outlook on the transfer portal for Mississippi State specifically. I know people have a lot of very strong feelings one way or the other that state has gotten worse, they've gotten better. I think I can bring it into perspective today as we kind of wind down people able to enter into the portal. Now, of course, even after the portal, even after that window is closed, when you can enter the portal, once that's done, you can still commit to a team, sign to a team. So that ends, I believe, on the 28th. I think there's a dead period here coming up, obviously, with the Christmas season. So we will get into that. But I think there's some takeaways for state going into next season that I believe is in a more positive place than it was coming off this past season. So we'll look at that here in just a moment. Before we get started with that, I want to let you know that My Dogs Are Barking here on MPW Digital is brought to you in part by ARPA's Coffee Bar in Starkville. ARPA's is an amazing coffee place. I'm a big coffee guy all the time, but not only do they have coffee, they're a full restaurant bar scene. Very, very fun place to hang out there in the Cotton District in Starkville. Their great atmosphere creates a great backdrop for laughter, conversation, shared memories. It's always bumping in ARPA's whenever you go. Whether you're seeking a good spot to catch up over coffee, a good gathering place to celebrate special occasions, a good late night hangout spot, their friendly staff is dedicated to ensuring your experience is nothing short of exceptional. Located in the heart of Starkville in the Cotton District, mention My Dogs Are Barking to get 15% off of your order. So go in, mention, hey, I'm a listener of the My Dogs Are Barking podcast. They'll give you 15% off of your entire order. On Fridays, you can get any side off, any side free with their burger. And if you just Google ARPA's burger and you're going to be like, how have I not seen this before? Got a fried egg on there. It's like just take a look. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Absolutely incredible. So make sure you check that out. They also have plenty of different specials for the Christmas season. And hey, all these different deals being negotiated, man. Even to get guys on campus, got to negotiate these deals. You know, they're thinking they're going to get rich here in the transfer portal, but hey, maybe they've never taken the time to ask this question: what does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi Edward Jones advisor, serving clients in the area and across the state. Count on him for financial strategies that can help you support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843. And together you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Last week, our last show, I believe it was on Tuesday, shared the story of my fantasy football punishment was to do 10 miles in a day. And it was either that or do Waffle House for like 12 hours. And I just can't do it, man. I cannot imagine doing that. So I did 7.5 miles and had to stop because my wife called with emergency. And I'm like, I got 2.5 miles left. Can I just finish it? But ended up wrapping that up yesterday and finishing just doing a full 10 in a day. So excited to get that behind me, and got a decision to make next season, man. Like, either I'm not going to do fantasy football anymore, or I've got to button this thing up and just not get last place. It just, you know how it is when it falls apart. But yeah, got players that are missing, players that are injured. Okay, so I do want to bring this up. Mississippi State this morning got a commitment, really a big commit for Mississippi State and for Coleman Hutzler and for Jeff Levy. They bring in freshman all-SEC four-star linebacker Jalen Smith from the University of Tennessee, transfers to Mississippi State. Jalen Smith appeared in all 12 games, is ranked as the number 7 overall linebacker in the portal. and so he appeared in all 12 games for a playoff team, and really was a guy that brought some energy, being a freshman, getting on the field at Tennessee during a year where they're going on trying to go on a playoff run is a big deal, and really a big win for Mississippi State and for Coleman Hutzler and for Jeff Lebby. This is something that you needed, and here's some perspective. Now Mississippi State has Stone Blanton, Zachary Tillman, who we saw production from. They got a commitment from Darian Gillette. I hope I said that right. Who is a University of Texas 4-star. Now Gillette did not see a ton of playing time last year. He redshirted there in his freshman year at Tennessee. He had a bad injury his senior year of high school. Redshirts at Tennessee, decides to get in the portal, hops in, going to give State some advantage on the edge because he's an edge guy. So hopefully that'll help out. Then add in Jalen Smith. That's not a bad 4. Then you think about it. Then you have Fat Clark coming back this season after his freshman season in Starkville. AJ Rice coming in, who's a guy that looks like he could be productive. Going to get him on campus. So I think the Dogs are fine there. Now here's where they can do better. Travion Barnes is an edge linebacker from FIU. Or sorry, not an edge linebacker, but he's a linebacker from FIU. He had over 100 tackles last season at FIU, was very, very productive. That's what Mississippi State needs. And obviously in this defense, you have an opportunity to get a lot of tackles, as we've seen the past couple of years. That would be a nice piece. They got a visit from him, I believe, this past week. So there's interest from Mississippi State. Also, I'm not going to be able to say this right. Nikai, maybe it's Nikai Hill-Green from Colorado, who's an all-conference player there for the Buffs. Entered the transfer portal, kind of surprised some folks. He visited Mississippi State on Wednesday. He's a solid linebacker, and let's just be honest here. Mississippi State needs literally all the help that they can get. They need everything they can get when it comes to this defense. And we flip to the other side of the ball for just a minute. We're about to go back to the defense, but State does need to probably land 1 or 2 wide receivers. But honestly, if they were able to land, I think, one receiver that they could hang their hat on and say, hey, this is a guy that could be very productive, essentially a guy who can take the place of Kevin Coleman, would be great. Satanga, the Arkansas linebacker that visited last week, would be huge. I don't know where they stand with that. Dwyer, the wide receiver from Idaho, we mentioned on the show Tuesday, canceled his visit, decided to go to USC instead. That's not a great sign. That would have been a guy to really lean on. He had 1,200 yards last season. But they do, and if they add Satanga, I think they add one more linebacker, or pardon me, wide receiver. I don't outside of him, just because I don't think that fully replaces what they had. And that's a position of great need. You need a guy to say, hey, I'm the dominant person. And Jordan Mosley is a very good piece, but Jordan Mosley really he's a number 2, a number 2 to number 3. And Kevin Coleman obviously was your big time number 1 last season. On top of that, they have 3 guys on campus, or they do need to add several more defensive linemen. They have 3 on campus currently. They did get a commitment from sack specialist Nevaeh Sanders from NIU. He had 5 sacks last season. Gets a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They got Red Hibbler on the team who did not play last season but led NC State in sacks the year before. And so they need another defensive lineman, or really to line up there on the defensive tackle to get in the boat. And that's who they have on campus today. They have Coastal Carolina defensive tackle Will Whitson, Texas edge Justice Finkley, Texas defensive tackle Jere Bledsoe, which I believe has a relationship with Darian Gillette, who transferred to us from Texas. So that's a possibility, and a guy who did make some plays. Wake Forest Keegan Trost, offensive tackle, and then UMass edge Kofi Asari. Now Asari is a guy that has several offers from other SEC programs on top of Big Ten schools as well. He would be a guy. I mean, he played Mississippi State this season, so he would be a guy that would be a really big boost for Mississippi State if they were able to get him in the boat. And here's the last position that I think they really need to address is kind of a glaring one. And can you guess what it is? It's cornerback. They lose Bryce Pollock to Texas Tech. He had that relationship with Darcel McBath, who's there. And now that they do get the transfer from Kennesaw State, but I think he's more of a depth piece. I don't think he's a starting SEC linebacker. You need someone to start on the opposite of Kelly Jones. And they have not brought anybody in at this moment that is commanding anything that is on campus, that is scheduled for a visit. So State really needs some help in that position. I mean, they mentioned like how rough the secondary was last season, but we've gone over this over and over again. The defensive line gave no pressure. The quarterback just had all day to throw. Mississippi State's defense had Tucker Gleason just hanging out in the back, in the pocket, just throwing wherever he wanted to. He had no threat of somebody coming. So State has got to get that figured out. And here's where I kind of want to look at overall. State is not bringing in a crazy talented 5-star guy like Walker Nolan to the defense. However, and I know that the people can be pessimistic. They'll call those, that can be pessimistic and kind of always look at the negative side of things. But I believe that by the end of this transfer portal window, State will have upgraded last season's team on the defensive side of the ball, which I get it. It's not that hard to do. But still, if the defense, think about it last season for Mississippi State, if the defense holds teams to 25 instead of 35 a game, the record is different. If State is able to get a little bit better than they were last season on the defensive side of the ball, and you think the offense is going to take necessary steps forward, then they'll be in some games. And again, the offense, some of the losses Mississippi State had were on their offense, not just on the defense. But if the offense can take some steps forward and the defense just takes a minor step forward, you are in a much better place. The transfer people that Mississippi State got in last season on the defensive side of the ball, already this team is better defensively than they were last season, just because of the people they brought in. Even losing Bryce Pollock, that's really the main piece that you're upset with. I mean, you kept Kelly Jones, you kept the biggest piece, Isaac Smith. You have Stone Blanton. Now you're adding several linebackers, a couple of edge people, and you got to hope to land a couple of defensive tackles. This team defensively is better than they were last year. It just, from a talent standpoint, that's what it appears. Now, will they be able to put it together? The schedule is a rough part, and we are going to spend a lot of time in the offseason going through the schedule. We will interview a different reporter, beat writer from each team Mississippi State will play as we kind of get through the season, just to kind of get a full report on their team, who they brought in the portal, who they lost, that kind of thing. But obviously the best news State has gotten all week was 5-star Luke Luke Kromenhawk to Mississippi State. Man, that's my first time butchering it. That hurts. First of many. But got him from Florida State. I really like him. The more things I see from him, the more I'm impressed. I don't think he's going to be a starter immediately. It seems like Blake Shapen will be the guy. But Jeff Lebby knows, like, time's ticking, man. If Luke Kromenhawk has a better has shown that he has better upside, Lebby will put him in. I feel confident in that. State still does need to add a running back to the fray. Now, this whole thing with Diego Pavia getting the next additional years, what does that mean for Mississippi State when it comes to Davon Booth and Kelly Akakari, two guys that had played JUCO football before? I have no idea. I mean, I do not have the slightest clue what that means, because they would have to also sue the NCAA and get things going. I don't know. We'll see, but I don't have confidence that that's going to be done. But as we sit right now, here a couple days before Christmas, Mississippi State has improved their roster defensively, and again, not hard to do. Very funny. Yes, that's 100% true. The defense was miserable, but they're taking some steps forward from what it appears to me, and I get it. They're not getting some crazy great 5-star defensive ends, but look, they're getting some guys that I think that at least might have a specialist in rushing the passer. Mississippi State last season brought in Purdue's backup defensive lineman, and God bless him, Kapka was the best defensive lineman Mississippi State had, and couldn't get after the quarterback. So already Mississippi State is making some leaps from where they were last season, bringing guys in, and it is kind of funny to think about, like, State has several Northern Illinois defensive linemen visiting, and that it's ridiculous to think about how far they've fallen. And David Turner is a whole nother piece of that pie that I think we're going to get kind of cleared up soon. But State has upgraded their team to me. So, and it's not. It's you have to understand that it's not as if it's like, okay, great, we're set. Let's go compete for a bowl. But they are certainly getting better. Now we'll see what difference that makes. Here's the deal: if they get better on the defensive side of things and go 3-9 again, that's going to be it for Jeff Levy, or go 3-9, which would be an improvement from last season. That'll be the end of Jeff Levy, Mississippi State, and that's tough, but that's just how it is, man. Um, so they have to hope that they can land. They need to land a difference maker at edge. We'll see if Nevaeh Sanders can be that guy. I don't know if he can do that against SEC talent. Maybe some of these Texas defensive linemen will be able to get there. Kofi Asari, the UMass edge, would make a very big difference, but he's very coveted by other people. So we'll see where that goes. We're going to take a quick break, an ad read from Mr. Neil McCready, and then we will get into our playoff game predictions. We have playoff football tomorrow night. Man, how exciting. It's going to be so good. So we'll be right back after this.
All MPW digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital.
Back to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. And man, it is college football playoff time, and the stage is set. Friday night, Indiana and Notre Dame are going to be in a fight there in South Bend. Very, very excited about this game. That is going to be so fun. Going to have some snowy playoff football. Kirk Signetti and the fellas are going to be there. And look, I know they're going to be very fired up. I'll just give you a quick one here, though. I don't think Notre Dame is going to be. I think Notre Dame's going to come out in the victory here. I just don't know how Indiana is going to do against supreme talent. I think the one time we saw them against a very talented team, they got their doors blown off. And I think Notre Dame has really improved throughout the season. And it's in South Bend. I don't see Indiana coming within 10 points. I think Notre Dame wins this game. I like Indiana. I really enjoy watching their offense. But their offense is not gone up against a team like this. And I know Michigan's a part of that, but Notre Dame in South Bend is going to be very, very hard to beat. Moving on Saturday morning, SMU and Penn State. Man, I'm telling you, I'm on this one. People are talking about Penn State, saying they have the easiest side of the bracket, easiest side to advance and win their first two games, get to the semifinals. But I got news for you, man. SMU, I know that they lost the championship game close. SMU is a really, really talented team. I think SMU has an opportunity to go on a run in this game. I love that it's being played there in Happy Valley. They're in at Penn State. That's an advantage, no question. But it's also an 11 a.m. kickoff at Penn State. It's not a night game, wide out. This is crazy and bumping. It's a little bit of a different atmosphere than what's usually there. And SMU, I know they lost, but they have improved dramatically. And something I'm on with SMU with this transfer portal and NIL and collectives and revenue sharing, SMU is a remarkably wealthy program. They could be the team going forward over the next 10 years that I think is going to be the talk of like in the elite tier of teams. I think that just because they're in Dallas, they did it first with the Pony Express, the Pony XS, giving cash outs. I think this is a good launching point for SMU. I think SMU is going to get this win in a close game, but I think SMU pulls off the victory, and folks are going to be very upset with James Franklin leaving this game. They just had too much turmoil, man. Having the quarterback enter the portal, then they're coming back from the portal. Sorry, my camera's going nuts. It follows my face, which is cool, but also not cool. Like it's just kind of odd, kind of crazy. But I just think there's too much turmoil for Penn State to get the win. Then their backup quarterback enters the portal, and he's staying in the portal. He's not going anywhere. Such a mess. I get so tired of talking about the transfer portal. It's such a headache every single day. It's the same thing of crazy things happening. And here's a game on Saturday at 3:00. Clemson and Texas at 3:00 there in Austin. I like what Clemson has done. People are a little bullish on Texas, and I think folks have an issue with the Quinn Ewers thing. Like Quinn Ewers has had some struggles here late part in the season. People are dying for Arch Manning to get in the game. There's rumors that Ewers will not be playing at Texas next season, but he also won't be in the NFL. And he allegedly could be playing for another team that is in this bracket, just on the opposite side. Keep an eye on the Quinn Ewers situation, because he can command a lot of cash if he ends up signing with a team in the NIL that can give him several million. Well, let's just say north of 3, north of 3.5, north of 4, which is, people are saying stuff even higher. Well, he can earn more than that if he can earn that amount, which would be more than if he was a second, third round draft pick. Because I don't know if he's going first round at this point. So anyway, but back to the actual game here. Can't say enough about what Dabo has done at Clemson. People hated on him for the transfer portal, and now here he is in the first round of the playoff. But man, it's not going to be enough. I think Texas is going to end up winning this game. They just have too many weapons. I think Quinn Ewers will settle down. He'll be fine. But that one, that's a game. I don't know if it's going to be as close as what people are saying. I like Clemson, but I'm not sure if they'll be able to keep up with that. Then Saturday night, man, the game of the week, Ohio State and Tennessee, which, by the way, Mississippi State gets Jalen Smith from Tennessee. This is a guy who could have played in this game. He played in all 12 games in the regular season. But it's Tennessee and Ohio State. They're in the shoe. There's been a lot of back and forth with their fan bases on this game. But, man, I just have a feeling Tennessee is going to roll in this game. Ohio State's just not coming into this game very confident, and things are shaky when it comes to Ryan Day. And I think Tennessee just has so many different weapons, all over the field, whether it comes to running the ball or passing it. And Nico has really blossomed into a very good player. And the quarterback play, to me, there's no comparison. I think Nico's a much better quarterback than Will Howard. And even though Will Howard might at the moment have better weapons at wide receiver, Howard he has not been able to get the ball to them when it has really mattered this season. And so because of that, man, I'm taking Tennessee in this game, and I think Tennessee might roll, even though it is a night game. It's in the shoe. Like, the atmosphere is going to be amazing, but man, Tennessee is extremely talented, and so I'm taking the Vols in this game. And then next week we will have some more games kind of shaping up. Very excited about that. I'm really excited about talking about that with Austin. He'll be back here, as I mentioned, on Sunday, and he and I will get into our final predictions for the college football playoff and see who we have winning. I don't know if he and I are going to agree on who we have winning at all, but I will say there are some people from this first bracket that are underdogs that are going to be playing this weekend that I think are going to win a second game as well. And so we will get into that, man. Very excited about this season, college football playoff season. Thank you guys, as always, for listening to the show. Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much to our ad partners. And also make sure you follow us on Twitter, just at MyDawgsPod. Make sure you subscribe to MPW Digital. 10.7K subscribers. Really, really amazing stuff. Trying to get some interviews lined up with some really special guests here coming into the new year. Very excited about that. It's going to be a great year for the My Dogs Are Barking podcast, man. We've already had some great success since joining MPW Digital in late September, October, whatever it was. And we're excited to keep it going. So thank you guys so much for listening to My Dogs Are Barking, and we will holler at you next time.